with substance use disorder for 8 years. So when we are looking at someone like Thelma, what would you say were the risk factors there?
Okay, when it comes to addiction, we have to realize that it's an equal opportunity. It doesn't matter you're from a poor background or a rich background. It doesn't matter you're well educated or not. So we need to take note of the chances of a person getting addicted, the society the person is growing up in, and mostly observe the character patterns of a child. Because you might think you're providing everything for your child, but then you'll be missing something. Like nowadays, people are more focused on going to work, providing financially for their children. That means spending less time observing day-to-day life of your child. We are prioritizing providing for our children.
All right, so I'm playing you bits and pieces from our conversation with Thelma.
1 grade 2 grade 3 kana zvose zviri ngoshanda.
What crystal meth does is it takes over everything else. It becomes the leading drug in the system. Before I started using crystal meth, right, weed was paranoid. It was causing me paranoia so much, and I didn't want to use it anymore. But it's just that I had reached that point of thinking that I can't function without it anymore. Especially in the studio, it helped me, with my music and recording and mixing and mastering and singing. And I don't remember what I used to be before that. So I just sat.
Akamboenda ku-UK haana kutaura kuti akadzokere kuZimbabwe and wese obva aenda kuchitungwisa. Nothing wrong with chitungwisa, but waenda, and I mean everybody wants to go to the UK really, and then you come back from the UK and you come to chitungwisa. It's a very different culture altogether. Depending with akadzokere life
Do you want to share with
very
us?
different.
Sorry to cut you, Carol. Do you want to share with us why you came back from the UK?
It wasn't anything grand or bad. Take note, I didn't know any drugs or substances in the UK. It was just my mom. It's my mom's way of getting you to know your family. Because I went to England when I was very young, and I didn't know anyone, and most of my relatives are here. So my mom wanted me to get to know my grandmother and cousins and everyone else.
Did you face any culture shock in your adjustment from, where were you? Newton or something? Where were you?
I was in Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Yeah, I was in Birmingham. Yeah, of course you do. I was young, everything was different. I actually tried to go to A level here in Zim, and everything was so different.
Yeah.
I couldn't learn. I just didn't get it, and everyone's judging me.
All right, so I'm just taking you a walk into the park in as far as where Thelma's story started and how it's ended before we pick that up right here on Capital 100.4 FM. As we're trying to understand truly what addiction looks like, right? Because for most of us, don't know what mnanotora kana American banditambuziko zvinodhaka izvi. Munhu anonetsa une muskawa unoda haatiereri mwana yanonetsa. Thelma sounds more regular than anything else.
I know you spoke about being curious and wanting to know and to understand a lot of things. So the reason why you're vulnerable to that curiosity, just like my Mandipa, I was listening to what's missing, what's not here. You spoke about growing up with grandma, then going to UK with mom, and then coming back with grandma. Where's dad in all this?
It's not there. He's alive, but it's just not here. Yeah.
So
is he active in your life on any level?
No, we tried it.
Yeah. So these are the things that we look at, and look at the impact of that absence. Okay. So whilst you may think, I'm just a curious person, there's something that you're trying to find. There's a void that you're trying to fill.
Even if you don't feel like you have a void, because I don't think she feels like she has a void.
You won't necessarily feel like you have a void or you want to feel a void, but there's just something that you're just not at peace with.
Is that for everybody? Because I don't think there's anybody who's absolutely at peace. I could do with more money. I need Victor to call me with a new car.
Yeah.
You know, is any one of us in this room ever sitting with total peace?
So this is what this is about. Okay. Every single person here, me included, okay, we struggle with something. All right. But it's about, do you understand what it is that you're struggling with, and what are you doing about it?
All right, so that's where we're going to leave that discussion for now. Just a recap of where we were last week as we continued that discussion. But I thought that was interesting. Every single one of us is struggling with something. The question is, do you know what you are struggling with? I'm also asking you that question because I don't know how you process that. Because when I look at myself, I did tell you, me, I'm looking for more money and things. I don't know if I'm necessarily struggling with something. And I certainly don't think Thelma in herself felt like she was struggling with something. She articulated how she got into addiction. And I'm wondering, Thelma, throughout this week after you heard that conversation, did you leave here asking yourself that question the same way we are all asking ourselves that question? What is it that we are all struggling with? Did you leave here having asked yourself that question, and maybe do you have even an answer now, do you think?
No, I don't. I did think about it, and as I was going out, you know, I can't go and look for things.
Yeah.
I'm happy at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm good. I've recovered. I feel healthy. I don't want to go down there. I don't think I want to go there.
Yeah.
Because I said last week, my dad was never there, and I've actually come to terms with it. It's okay. He's doing what he's doing. We tried it. It didn't work. It didn't work. But I can't force him to do it. You know. So yeah, but I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. And I think that's most of us. Isn't it, Carol? Carol, that was Thelma, by the way, the lady we started walking with. She had been taking drugs for over 8 years, tried crystal meth. She did a bit of ecstasy. She did marijuana. She would drink. My wife was drinking crepes, and the crepes was the black and the brown bottle. And now she has gone through recovery. Last week, you were actually almost a week out of recovery now. Congratulations to you. We're clapping hands for you. And through her, we were learning a lot about ourselves, right? Trying to understand how exactly we got here. And Merita, our psychotherapist, is on the phone, says, listen, there are many gaps that have led Thelma to this curiosity when she expressed through trying drugs. Now, Carol, as you are sitting in there, do you also feel that way, that every single one of us, we are lacking something that's going to move us to, in some cases, taking addiction, taking drugs and substances?
I should not think so. Sorry, everybody definitely has that room for that mental. Okay, I won't say illness as such. What I would say is people take things differently in life. We all go through certain walks in life, but how we take things is different. How we take trauma, for instance, is different. Sometimes, like what I'm thinking of Thelma, she has decided just to put things under the carpet and just move on top and pretend everything is okay. But when you dig deep down, like what the coach was saying, Meta was saying, she's avoiding, or she doesn't know that she's avoiding those things. So you realize that most people that do maybe drugs as ladies, there's something that is there, that is hidden, that she's not facing or doesn't want to face or doesn't think affects her, but does affect her. For instance, last week we were talking about her coming in from the UK and coming to Zimbabwe. You can't just take a child from the UK and bring it to Zimbabwe and let her be normal without counseling. From my talks with her after the show last week, they didn't even discuss it with her that she was going to move to Zimbabwe and why and for how long. She thought maybe it was going to be just brief and then she goes back.
Yeah.
And then it turned into years. And when she got into Zimbabwe, the culture shock. You're coming in from you've got a British accent, which definitely most people think she's showing, but she's just being herself. She will answer back the teachers and they'll think she's rude. But that's how she was brought up.
I hear what you're saying. So last week in the book program, we were talking about what most of the eat was on Friday. And we had a couple of young girls, young women really, who were pushing for water climate and food justice, to say women are struggling more. We spend hours But what was interesting was that one listener said, but we've all gone through that. Taifamba or 23 kilometers. So I was going to say, but I think our moms and dads love to remind us, don't they, Thelma, that they've also been through hard things. They've also faced difficult situations, but they will also argue and say, but we are not taking drugs. We are not, you seem normal, you seem okay. So why would it make sense that Thelma, for example, who's gone through shifts and changes which are normal part of human experiences, may then be said is more prone or has then taken substances because of what's difficult. Don't say, I have heard the story of Tipa Makano boarding school, and it's my farm, my kilometers, we've heard all your traumatic stories. None of you are taking drugs. So why is that story making sense? We're trying to help you making sense for, say, someone like Alma or someone like me to say, oh, it's because we were uprooted from school, but I feel fine. It was a hardship that I endured and I'm fine.
I think our children that we're bringing up, we bring our kids in a different way that we were brought up. So you realize, we are protecting them so much. They can't even climb trees because we're scared, or they can't go to the shops on their own, they'll be kidnapped. And for sure, there's lots of things happening now that never used to happen then. Long back, people didn't kidnap people on the streets. Those were family. Everybody in your village was family, were related. But now, your neighbor could actually kidnap your child. So we are protecting these children from a very young age. And then when they're now grown, we're expecting them to behave the way we did. We're all over. But these children have not been exposed to a lot of things that can help them have those life skills. They do not have the life skills to be able to handle things like that. I'm looking at Thelma coming in, she's used to being with her mom. And from the way I would think she was brought up, she was loved, she was hugged, she was pampered, she was fine. And then she's brought to an African woman in Zimbabwe, which is the grandmother, who probably doesn't even hug. Because most Africans, we don't hug like that. For my generation, you don't get hugged. If you get sweets, that shows love. If you go to town, you get ice cream, you're loved. That's a way of showing love. But the children these days, the way they perceive love is not necessarily material, because the material they already have. So go one doesn't even know this child. This child doesn't even know go. And the English that she's speaking is very different. Never mind that, the Shona is probably broken. It's difficult to communicate the basic things in this room, in this house, in this family. What more to communicate the deep things of raising this teenager?
That's the voice of Carol Mashinani Deva Kumane. She is the first woman in Zimbabwe to have opened the Private Rehabilitation Center. She's the director of Maluka Hope Rehabilitation Center. As we are what we're trying to understand and to answer really is how our messaging as far as drug prevention, rehabilitation and treatment isn't speaking adequately to what's actually on the ground, especially when you meet someone like Thelma, who has gone through the process of struggling with addiction for 8 years and also learning this idea that most of us then may fulfill this curiosity we have because something else is going on deeply within us. Good morning, Doc. We are also having Dr. Ziwa, you also probably recognize him from International Wellness Center, and they use naturopathic drug approach to substance rehabilitation. Doc, good morning and welcome to the Capital.
Good morning. Good morning.
So Doc, we were pulling back some of our story with Thelma last week, and for us the question that stood out is how we all have something within us that we are trying to fulfill, even though we don't recognize that there's something within us. Thelma does not feel sad, traumatized, unloved, neglected, rejected just because that was what it is. It is the situation she has accepted, like most of us with many things. In meaning, I think I should be able to live a life like my sister, but I've accepted that that is not, I'm not married to Jay-Z. I've accepted my mother-in-law, Tina knows I don't have that kind of money. So to help us truly understand how this absence of something we didn't even know was supposed to be there then leads us into a space where Thelma might have fulfilled the curiosity. And using Thelma as a test case, because it's not just about Thelma, it's about all of us. And those spaces that apparently are there, but we may not even recognize that they're there.
Thank you very much. I would like just to put a very rudimentary example. see, wild animals have only life, and there's lots of challenges facing that environment. They are born and they predators all over. So the babies are born natural from first day. They are running away from the predators. But that's a coping strategy. That's not a natural structure. The coping strategy. If I know there's this that is missing, then I create my own world in my own way, in the circumstances that I am. But it's not the norm at the end of the day. I think Mesa put it nicely when I was listening to the program last week, and that identity creates a certain curiosity. You may not be aware that you are looking for something. You are not aware that there is something missing in you that you are looking for in other sphere. And when you don't find, you continuously try this, try that, until probably you are in self-doubt.
Is this not a Western philosophy that we've been taught that you are perpetually necessary? Because from an African point of view, we are not born, we're not needing salvation. We're completely ignoring this. And we even have a word for it. But we don't grow up with a sense of emptiness or neglect or rejection. Those things are actually only words we hear in English. What is rejection and trauma? We don't necessarily have those as concepts. So I'm wondering, is it not a Western philosophy that we are adopting and trying to make it work in our context, where truly, even without dad being present, I am still a functional and a whole human being?
Apparently, to check. The thing is, we are putting words now, and it has always been there. The abusive men coming from the past, they've always been in society. It's only that we didn't put a name. We're now not in the rural. They've always been there in the community, but we didn't put a name. We didn't really have the information to identify what is the real issue. These are trauma-based presentations that are very clear. That's a clinical presentation of past trauma. We have had societal misfits. We have had pedophiles in society. We have had one form of mental health problems than the other. But the issue is we have not put a title to it.
Okay. Bertha, I want you to come in there because you started this wildfire. So what are we then saying? For someone like Thelma who's gone through the processes, she feels as if she has conquered, right? And then we're still learning that there may be another missing piece to the puzzle, which in her case, she feels like, look, dad was not there, but I'm fine. I made peace with it, which may be in another form healing. She might not have sat down with Mirtha and had a 30-minute session on it, but she's processed it in her own way and has accepted that dad is not a part of my life and I am okay.
Everyone, good morning, listeners. Apparently, I happen to be the troublemaker in all this.
Yes, you are.
You see, just like what Dr. Dewa just outlined there, that if you're born in a space that makes you vulnerable in a certain way, you're going to develop coping mechanisms. Okay? So, Thelma has developed her own coping mechanisms, which might be to do with, well, this guy is not interested, so let me just shut the door. But then that doesn't make it okay. Okay, the idea that maintains this rejection keeps, or it remains there, where she wonders, is it about me that he doesn't want to be?
Well, fortunately, Thelma is here. Do you feel like you were rejected? Or do you feel like, how do you feel about it? That's what you just said didn't work out. How do you feel about it?
Because what I've learned is that sometimes choose the meeting place to stay inside. And I'm content with me because I'm going to have I'm the Chris over there. His needs is to really he'll be asking for it. So yeah.
And how about for this age?
This is what we're talking about. You normalize your way of doing things, of dealing with things, whether that is okay or not. And you get used to the idea that, just like what Selma is saying, I got used to the idea that he's not a good person. But within that not being a good person, there is something else there. I'll give you an analogy where if you are to look into the mirror now, majority of the time we're not even conscious of what we're looking at when we look in the mirror. But if you look closely enough, you will see there are features of your mother and there are features of your father. So if you haven't dealt with these issues, these voids, every time you look in that mirror, unconsciously you see him, but you don't have a positive relationship with him, which could make you sabotage that part of that you see in yourself. So this is why it's critical for us to really understand.
I think we get that. I think we get that, and that makes sense. I think the question I'm trying to get to the bottom of is that not necessarily meaning everybody, including myself, has grown with the parents missing, is likely then to develop an inclination towards substance misuse. I think that's what we're trying to understand with this. So Thelma, and we can only go with what she says, right? No matter what science is saying, if she feels that she's with patient, so in that, I'm trying to ask then, how our approach is relevant and able to help young girls like Mama who did move from the UK abusively into a new environment abusively. Dad was absent abusively, but as far as Mama is concerned, especially the dad issue, was not the reason why she ended up in this space. And even as we're talking now, Thelma is still not convinced that dad has a key role to play. So in terms of now how we respond to Thelma's situation in terms of help her rehabilitate and pick herself out, if she doesn't connect with the approach, how we then act in trying to help Thelma, and also even then the methods we develop against the prevention and the treatment and the rehabilitation.
To solve a problem, the first thing you need to be aware you have a problem. If you don't recognize you have a problem, you'll continue doing what you think, realizing that you.
Thelma recognizes she has a problem. I think maybe where we may diverge with Thelma is what we think the problem is.
Luckily, we don't do diagnosis and things. Our job is to explain why someone might be struggling. So what we do is we then walk them through what would have, or what may have made them vulnerable to these things that they're struggling.
Okay, just hold that thought only because of time. Sorry. No, sorry. I just want Carol to come in only because of time. I apologize. And today was purely technical. Really expanded the way we want. Carol, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think the America, Dr. Joy and myself, we don't have enough time to actually dissect and say this is exactly why she got into trouble. We just touched two things, which is the culture clash and the dad, but we're not saying it's because of the dad that she got into trouble. There are so many other reasons. We're just trying to see reason why. Like being obviously a British girl, she had attention, peer pressure. She was the in girl in school. Everybody wanted to be a king, everybody wanted to happen with her, and maybe she also thought she was happening and ended up falling into this. So we're not saying one particular item could have gotten her into drugs. It's a lot of things that we look at as therapists to see what exactly, and we ask her, bounce off, and she's like, no, my dad, I'm cool with that. So we talk about it, do you want to meet me? No, I don't want to. Then we go to the next thing until we find the core reason
that really got her into this whole situation.